This is the current state of Yahya Sinwar.
אלא אתה רואה בעצם שאין את המוח של סינואר. ויחיא סינואר כרגע, אם תשאל אותי, פשוט בעל כוחו.
Look, everybody is talking about Yahya Sinwar. The media is obsessed with him. The world is obsessed with him. And his screen time and all of his air coverage is giving a very false narrative of what the actual current state is of both Hamas and Sinwar himself. It's quite difficult to say this, but he is a very smart person. He led and pulled off the October 7th slaughter against Israel, and potentially may have accomplished more than he had initially drawn up. Prior to October 7th, the daily headlines and all of the newspapers and big media outlets across the world were not mostly about Hamas versus Israel, or this Middle Eastern conflict between the Palestinians and Israelis being completely amplified. And Sinwar shook the world. It is now 4 months into this war, and people all over the world are still screaming that Hamas is still alive. They are. Barely. It's enough headline reading and making it out to be that Sinwar and Hamas are flourishing and thriving. What I'm about to show you is not Israeli media propaganda. This is not a geopolitical analyst's guess at the current state of affairs. This is not information that can be debated, and it is simply the truth that is being hidden from you. This is on-the-ground, real-time live reporting of the actual situation right now between Hamas and Israel inside of Gaza and the evil man himself, Sinwar.
גם קצינים שיוצאים מהלחימה בח'אן יונס מספרים על זה שמשהו קרה בסוג הלחימה של חמאס. שבירת חטיבות ח'אן יונס היא לא רק הייתה מבצע צבאי של צה"ל לשבור אותם, אלא אתה רואה בעצם שאין את המוח של סינואר. סינואר כרגע עסוק יותר במילוט מאשר בניהול.
A large portion of the pro-Israeli people want to just say that Hamas is dead, Sinwar is dead, this whole thing is over. And a large portion of the pro-Palestinian people want to say Hamas is thriving, Hamas is winning, they aren't going anywhere. But here is the reality about Sinwar, and it's actually only about one thing that he's obsessed with right now: trying to stay alive.
It's the first and so far only public image of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar since the war began. Here he is walking inside a tunnel in the area of Khan Yunis, right behind a woman and 3 children.
His only task at this point is literally managing his own survival. This ridiculously evil and barbaric man is right now hundreds, if not thousands, of meters below ground level, hiding, attempting an escape of some sort, deep in the tunnel network below Khan Yunis. And months ago, he was above ground level in mission control rooms with his fellow Hamas operatives, getting ready to send them out on their mission, October 7th. And yet he has now been reduced to a useless walking target under soil, essentially fleeing until he hits a dead end.
ויחיא סינואר כרגע, אם תשאל אותי, פשוט בעל כוחו, מעביר את הכל, וזאת תוכנית המגירה אגב. למקרה שההנהגה בבונקר לא עונה, ההנהגה בחוץ לארץ מנהלת את העניין, ואתה רואה שהמשקל עובר יותר לאולפנים בביירות ובקטר.
Sinwar right now is just against his own will. He's doing something not only that he doesn't want to do, but something that he is forced to do as a result of the current situation. Otherwise, it's death for him. And we all know what will happen once Israel neutralizes or captures Sinwar. That's going to be the moment when the treble, bass volume, and madness get turned down real quick. At the end of the day, like he said in the clip, in the event that the leadership down inside the bunker can't answer, leadership outside of the country begins managing the situation. Ismail Haniyeh and Khaled Mashal, other top Hamas leaders kicking up their feet somewhere abroad right now, cannot get Sinwar on the phone. Yeah. Obviously, the man is 2,000 feet below ground level without any game plan. Sinwar is losing gravitational pull and can no longer affect his fellow leadership. So the center of gravity is shifting towards the Hamas leaders outside of Gaza. Essentially the political wing of Hamas in places like Qatar. Oh, and these guys in Qatar, don't forget, they've been riding in the back seat for years now during this entire ride, as Sinwar was leading. But now they are thrusted to the front of the stage. Why? Because their co-worker has become a fugitive.
זאת אומרת שאפשר להקיש מההתנהגות בשטח, מההתנהגות של אנשי חמאס, מהגמגום שלהם בשאלות איפה סינואר, שכנראה האיש הזה במנוסה מחפש מקומות חדשים פחות בניהול, ויותר מכל הוא לא מקרין על האנשים שלו את העוצמה. תראה מה קורה בתנועת האנשים. היום היה גל של סרטונים על יוקר המחיה, והעזתים אומרים איך סוכר עלה מ5 שקלים ל20 שקלים, וכבר מאשים את חמאס. לאט לאט אתה רואה, מסתכלים ימין ושמאל ומבינים, כנראה בעל הבית עסוק.
Every single day that passes now, months into this entire situation, we are seeing more and more criticism in the Palestinian streets in Gaza about how terrible things are for them. And in the past several weeks, I have shown you all of this happening in real time. I have talked about this over and over and over, exposing the actual sentiment in the Palestinian streets and how they truly feel about Hamas. Everything is awful for them. Their living conditions, their day-to-day, their entire lives. No food, rises in prices, things are out of control. But that doesn't happen if Hamas is relevant. So how can you make the claim that they still are? I'm now going to show you a broadcast of Sinwar from 2018 that has never been aired before up until recently. This was in a Palestinian media broadcast, and somehow this got buried deep underneath ground and never uncovered. But you're about to see that even 6 years ago, in 2018, Sinwar said, right now, we are preparing. Take a look.
منذ نهاية العدوان والحرب على قطاع غزة عام 2014 استطاعت فصائل المقاومة بصورة عامة وكتائب القسام بصورة خاصة أن تراكم قوتها وأن تطور في هذه القوة تطويرا نوعيا دراماتيكيا وسنري شعوب أمتنا العربية والإسلامية وشعبنا الفلسطيني ما يرضيهم.
6 years ago, Sinwar alluded to this entire thing and said that they, Hamas, are going to strike back and create something that will make the entire Arab world very pleased. And people all over the world ignored it. Any threat made against Jews and the state of Israel. Any promise made against Jews and the state of Israel. 6 years ago, at least, they had already begun preparing for October 7th, for a slaughter fest, a historical barbaric event to shake the world, a dent in the Middle East, and an enormous fracture to the state of Israel. But it does not stop there. Jews and Israelis across the world are experiencing record high levels of anti-Semitism, increased threats against individuals, businesses, schools, organizations, communities, and even the warfare being played out on the internet. The big takeaway and main lesson for us is that when these guys speak and promise and say that they are going to do something extremely bad, we must take them for their word and take them very seriously. These aren't just threats, statements, or warning signals. These are promises backed by actions. Sinwar is powerless, Hamas is being defeated, and the Palestinians in the Gaza streets are suffering twofold as a result of their cowardly leadership. It would be one thing if these were all claims from the Israeli side trying to convince you to believe them, but by this point in this war, the very ones suffering are doing all of the talking, and the very ones oppressing the suffered are running out of time.